This week in the F Word, the podcast where we explore fraud, finance, and fascinating facts about where your money really goes. We'll be diving into the eye-watering $177 million price tag for the Burloak underpass. Joining me is forensic accountant and investigator Dave Oswald, who's here to help us break this down. Dave, tell us what we'll be talking about.
Thanks, Indiana. We're going to be talking about what you could buy for $177 million.
All right, Dave, let's start with the number. That's a staggering amount of money for an underpass. And just to put into perspective, our listeners, we did a little research on what else we could buy. Are you ready for this, Dave?
I'm ready. Hit me with it.
First up, you could buy 67 Lamborghini Countachs. That's 67 iconic supercars sitting in your driveway. Imagine that.
67? You need to build a garage just to store them all. And can you imagine what your insurance bill would be?
No kidding, but it gets even better. For $177 million, you can provide a school with meals for 354,000 children for an entire year. That's enough to feed a population of a small city.
I guess that's what really puts it into perspective for Indiana. Can you imagine the difference that we could make if there weren't this type of overspending and fighting child hunger within the country?
Exactly. And here's another one. You could buy 10 of the most expensive houses in Oakville. We're talking prime luxury real estate and still have 60 million left over. What would you do with 60 million in change, Dave?
Well, I'd probably start by investigating why a bridge that should be costing 25 million is actually costing 177 million.
It doesn't stop there. For 177 million, you could purchase 118 average houses in Oakville or 160 average houses in Burlington. That's an entire neighborhood. Yet, here we are spending this on one single project. So, Dave, let's dig into the question that's on everyone's mind. What are we actually getting for $177 million?
Well, that's $1 million, or should I say the $177 million question, Indiana. On paper, we're getting an underpass that's supposed to improve traffic flow and reduce congestion, and was originally budgeted at 25 million. But when you look at the numbers, it's hard not to ask whether we're overpaying for what we're actually getting. That's $1 million question, or should I say the $177 million question. On paper, we're getting an underpass that's supposed to improve traffic flow and reduce congestion. This is a project that was originally budgeted at 25 million. But when you look at the new numbers, it's hard to ask whether we're overpaying for what we're getting.
Absolutely. And as a forensic investigator, you've worked on cases where public funds have been misused or mismanaged. Do projects like this raise any red flags for you?
Obviously, they do. Anytime you see a budget that balloons far beyond its original estimate, as this one has, it's worth asking, was there poor planning? Were there unforeseen complications? Or in some cases, is it something more sinister, like procurement fraud? Without transparency, it's really hard to know.
It's shocking to think about. It's not just money, it's the opportunity costs. What else could we have done with $177 million, feeding kids, building homes, or even improving other critical infrastructure?
Exactly. Public money should always be spent wisely with accountability at every step. That's why forensics accounting is so important in cases like these, to follow the money and to make sure taxpayers are getting what they're paying for.
So what's the takeaway here? For our listeners who might feel frustrated or powerless about projects like this, what can they do?
The biggest thing is to ask questions and demand transparency. Projects like this should be fully documented with clear explanations of costs and any cost overruns. And if something doesn't add up, it's important for everyone to speak up. Accountability doesn't start with the organization. It actually starts with you, the public.
Well said. And I think that's the perfect note to end on. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your insights.